in the global economy. On the international scene, Hamas makes hostage pledge but demands changes to US Gaza ceasefire plan. And in sport, Paris Saint-Germain have won their first European Cup. The details after this.
If it's news, it's got to be Nationwide 90 FM.
The governing Jamaica Labour Party, JLP, leads the opposition People's National Party, PNP, by 4% with 3 months to go before the general election is due. That's according to the latest nationwide Blue Dot polls powered by Total Tools. Chief Consumer Insights Officer at Blue Dot, Janae Stevens-Taylor, revealed the party findings on Friday during a special broadcast of Nationwide at 5.
35% of voters would select the JLP candidate in their constituency, causing the JLP to hold a narrow lead over the opposition, who would garner 31%. However, still 1/3 of the electorate remains undecided. Cliff, you are projecting 12 weeks out from an election. So 3 months out, we still have 1/3 of the electorate undecided. Now, I want us to understand that this is the lowest that the undecided proportion has been for quite some time.
Janae Stevens-Taylor, Chief Consumer Insights Officer at Blue Dot. The PNP has gained 3 points since February 2025, while the JLP has lost a point over the same period. The nationwide Blue Dot polls were conducted between May 2 and 7. It sampled 1,618 registered voters across all 14 parishes. It has a margin of error of plus or minus 2.3%. Meanwhile, in a reaction to the poll findings, member of the JLP Communication Task Force, Marlon Morgan, said the party is aware of the task to be executed so that it can win over undecided voters.
And so we know that we have our work cut out for us, and we're continuing in that vein. You would have seen the Prime Minister not just on the stump, but at respective ribbon-cutting exercises, making the case. And that is what the proposition is, and the task is for the incumbent Jamaica Labour Party at present, just continuing to make the case, because we know that there are some persons who, more so than others, are more skeptical, they are more cynical, they have not necessarily come into the confidence of government as yet.
Marlon Morgan, member of the JLP Communication Task Force. And in his reaction, political analyst Kevin O'Brien Chang believes the JLP could be suffering from the negative effects of the third-term syndrome.
35, 31 minutes, anybody's game. I mean, it's, can go either way. I mean, of course, you want to be in front, but, if the feeling I have and other people have this third-term syndrome, meaning the public want to see fresh faces in governance. There's two ways to do it, You can vote in the opposition, or the JLP has a lot of women and young people. Andrew Holness maybe needs to rebrand and refresh, bring in younger, more energetic, charismatic outriders, fresh faces, so to speak, to match his vim and vigor.
Kevin O'Brien Chang, political analyst. Member of Parliament for West Central St. Catherine, Dr. Christopher Tufton, says the opposition PNP is being too sensitive this political season. He levied the criticism while pointing to recent comments from PNP President Mark Golding that MP for East St. Thomas, Dr. Michelle Charles, had no class and deserved to be beaten badly in the next general election.
I think the opposition is a little too sensitive, because I was not at the Urban Centre launch when it took place. I watched it online, and I saw MP Charles go on the platform, and I heard her comments. And we're in the cut and thrust of the political cycle, and everybody's throwing jabs all over the place. And it is fair game in our democracy. It doesn't mean disrespect. No. But there's also an energy and an enthusiasm and a happiness that comes from achievement. Achievement that many hope for but weren't able to provide. Laborites have all the right to be proud and to be happy.
Dr. Tufton was addressing JLP supporters at their Duckenfield Divisional Conference in St. Thomas on Thursday. He says the opposition should not be too sensitive because they are under pressure.
I take a little job at my brethren Fenton. I don't mean no disrespect. I respect Fenton. I think he was an elder statesman. and him run him leg. And we're not going to do nothing to this his leg that he has run. The reality though is that his leg never involved the development of the urban center. It is Michelle Charleston has led to the development of the urban center. So tell the comrades and don't get hot under the collar because they feel under pressure. No disrespect intended, but the truth is, it is time to show the achievements of the Labour Party government.
Dr. Christopher Tufton, Member of Parliament for West Central St. Catherine. Staff at the University of the West Indies Mona campus are threatening to take industrial action on Monday over concerns that the administration intends to reduce health benefits to new staff. That's according to the West Indies Group of University Teachers, WIGUT. In a release on Friday, WIGUT says the Council of UWI Mona has decided to reduce health and pension benefits for employees joining the staff on or after August 1 this year. It says the council's decision was taken unilaterally and in the absence of a negotiated agreement with any of the unions operating on the campus. WIGUT says it intends to immediately suspend the industrial action if the concerns are addressed. The union noted that a written statement must be made by the council indicating a pause on the implementation of the new measures. WIGUT says the statement from the university would allow for meaningful negotiations with the union to begin. However, it says no response has yet been provided by the council. The group states that until a response is given, the industrial action remains in place. Only a fraction of Jamaica's labour force is skilled enough to participate in an ever-changing global economy. This was highlighted by Principal of the University of the West Indies Mona, Professor Denzel Williams, at the launch of the UWI Short-Term Advancement and Resource Centre, UWISTAR, at the Mona campus on Thursday.
We have a labor force of 1.3 million people, and of that number, we have merely 118,000 people who have high skills who could work in a competitive environment. 118,000. So you're talking about roughly about 1 million people who really can't participate in a global economy that is ever-changing and requires high skills, requires agility, and requires innovative thinking.
UWISTAR is the central hub for all short development courses offered at the Mona campus. The platform aims to facilitate seamless collaboration between key stakeholders and provide a user-friendly interface for course management, payment processing, and student engagement. Professor Williams says a skilled labor force is crucial to meeting the demands of a growing economy.
Our mandate as a higher educational institution is really about skills development. That's really what we're about, skills development, in order to transition the labor force to achieve the kinds of things that we want to achieve as a country. So we talk a lot about macroeconomic stability and all of the wonderful things that can be done with the macroeconomy and the things that, debt is going down and those things. But those things by themselves are merely precondition to human prosperity. The most important variable that you're going to require, having put those preconditions in place, is to make sure that you have the right skill set to take advantage of them.
Professor Denzel Williams, Principal of the University of the West Indies Mona, he says the UWI Mona is moving to do its part in upskilling the country's labour force. UWISTAR forms part of that thrust. Meanwhile, Professor Williams says a recent World Bank report highlights that persons who complete short-term courses earn more than those who dropped out of the traditional academic programs.
There's a piece of work that was done by the World Bank in 2021 by Ferreira, Diaz, and Bassi. It's called Fast Track Skills Development in Latin America. They've compared people in traditional academic programs who dropped out of school and people who have not been in those programs and have taken short cycle courses, and look at their career development metric and their career path. And it is very encouraging to see the statistics. The people who have gone on to short cycle courses earn 13% more in terms of salaries than those people who drop out. The people who have gone on to short cycle courses have an 82% employment rate after they have completed their courses, compared to those persons at 67%.
Professor Denzel Williams, Principal of the University of the West Indies, Mona. On the international scene, Hamas responded to a U.S. ceasefire proposal by saying it is prepared to release 10 living Israeli hostages and 18 dead hostages in exchange for a number of Palestinian prisoners, while requesting some amendments to the plan. The group repeated its demands for a permanent truce on complete Israeli withdrawal from Gaza and guarantees for the continuous flow of humanitarian aid. None of these are in the deal on the table. It was neither an explicit rejection nor a clear acceptance of the U.S. terms, which Washington says Israel has accepted. Hamas said it had submitted its response to the U.S. draft proposed by Steve Witkoff, U.S. President Donald Trump's special envoy for the Middle East. And now to sport. It's Paris Saint-Germain party in Bavaria. Paris Saint-Germain had a 5-0 victory over Inter Milan in the Champions League final. The victory was historic as PSG won by the largest ever margin in a Champions League final. It has been described as an absolute romp and a stunner that no one saw coming. Inter Milan, well, they were devastated. It was a heartbreaking result for them, as the fans left in tears by cutting PSG performance. Inter supporters were left heading for the exits long before the final whistle. And now for a recap of the top stories making the news at this hour. JLP leads PNP by 4% according to the latest nationwide Blue Dot polls powered by Total Tools. UWI staff are threatening to take industrial action on Monday. Principal of the UWI Mona, Professor Denzel Williams, says only a fraction of Jamaica's labor force is skilled enough to participate in the global economy. I'm Andrew Cannon. You can find the news on our website at nationwideradiojm.com and on the Nationwide app available on Google Play and the App Store. News is next at 5 tomorrow afternoon. But stay tuned, because up next we have Sports Nation Live with Wayne Walker and Alric Swaby.
Who shops at Creative Building